Hey guys, so today we are going to the junkyard to find a door and a driver's side mirror for my car, 2004 Toyota Camry. I've got my kiddos with me, who's probably peeling lead paint right now off the side of a building. So that's good. We'll make sure she doesn't eat that later. So anyway, I did some online searching, and I made a call, and this place had the door that I want. Hopefully it's in decent shape. We're gonna go check it out. So come on with me and we'll check it out. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Here we go. All right, guys, so we got the door. It's not a pretty one, to be honest. I got a mirror too for the driver's side. It is not a pretty door. They would not let me go see it before I purchased it. There are a good deal of scratches on this door that I am quite bummed about. The blue comes off, obviously. If you guys have ever got anything from a junkyard, you'll see that this is basically like a chalk paint. But I guess it's better than what I got, and I'm hoping that I can get some of this stuff to buff out. So there's a good door, and we walk around, and this is how I bought the car. So, but the rest of the door, you know, not horrible. It's dirty, but that's the big eyesore right there. So the only thing, this hit almost the entire door, and almost nothing else. But we do have a little bit of that, like, bottom, I don't know, you call it a rocker panel or whatever, that's dented in a little bit. Really the only thing that's going to affect is possibly the door seal, but it shouldn't affect anything else. So I should be able to change this door relatively easy. I haven't done one in a long time. I'm not a body guy, but doors are fairly simple. I may have to replace out the lock from this door, put it in the new door, okay, so my key fits. Otherwise I just won't use this door. And I will definitely have to replace the inner lining of the door. It's pretty dirty here. I'll definitely have to replace the inner lining of the door because of the fact that the other car had a different color interior. So I got to take this whole panel off, put it on the new door before we swap it over. So here we go. So first of all, I'm going to take off the panel while the door's hanging. So I will try to walk through this and give you a good view of this as I can. Biggest thing with body parts, guys, to remember is be careful, okay? Unless you've done this a bunch of times, be careful, because each manufacturer has a different way to clip things in. Screws, push-in clips, you know, clips that kind of go, you know, in like this and need to be pulled out and, you know, up and out. And you'll see as I go, like, certain ones of them will be, you know, different than others. So this isn't a video that I've perfected and then I'm putting on here for you. This is a video that I'm just winging it. I have not done one of these door panels or doors in many years, but I'm gonna do it anyway for you. So anyway, I got a bag of tools here with a bunch of stuff that I may and may not need. First step, if you see any things like this here, you've got a little cap right there. That's most likely a little screw under there. So typically these just pop right off. But again, be careful with them. You break the clips and you're stuck having to go to the dealer for them. Typically, sometimes they will have them in a cap like this. Is, you know, pretty easy. I mean, you don't necessarily have to replace it unless you care a ton about the vehicle that you're working on. You only see it when you open the door, but other things may hold on the door panel itself. So you pull on the door, you know, certain things might be loose. You pull on the handle, all of a sudden this trim piece is falling out, and man, you're like, you know, this is rinky-dink, or it's flopping on the bottom. You know, some of these clips are not easy to get, but like I said, you can get some of them at AutoZone, Advance Auto, O'Reilly's, whatever. Sometimes they have the most common ones in the Help line. The brand name is Help, or you know, sometimes like AC Delco or Motorcraft, or, you know, they'll have them for the Chevys and the Fords. You know, they usually have a section of these clips and stuff, so that hopefully you don't have to get them at the dealer. So check the rest of the door. Check for little pins, especially on the bottom. There is a screw on the bottom. I will show you guys that. There's one, two, there's at least 2 screws on the bottom, and then some clips. Usually you've got a screw that holds this in as well as a clip, and it's just the trim around the door handle. Okay. Now, if you pry this thing, you know, if you're trying to figure out how this comes off, pry this thing and it doesn't want to go anywhere, well, stop. You know, I don't know how many people I've come across that love to do this, and then they go and break something because they don't realize how it comes off. The other thing is, if it's not your car and you're working on it, you're gonna probably want to watch a video, or at least go to your online library and figure out the procedure for taking the door panel off. You could look up like a window motor, some sort of switch, door panel lock actuator, something like that, that's within the door panel, so that you could figure out the procedure. The other thing, and this is different on every car too, but many of them are the same. This little piece here is just a little trim piece so that the mirror can come off. I will have to unbolt this mirror. It's a power mirror as well, so it's got a switch here. There's 3 bolts that hold it in, or 3 nuts I should say, and the power wire. So I can take that off, and then I can put it on the new door. So as I start taking this door panel apart, I'm going to get all the screws that I can find first, and then I'll work on anything else that I might have. Now, I will show you down here. There are some screws on this one, right down here. Now, this is a 2004 Toyota Camry. Now, Toyota makes their stuff pretty simple. Not the easiest to work on, but certainly not the hardest. And I've got those. So some of this is, you know, is trial and error. So I know that these pins, because I've done this before, I know that these are like push-in pins that hold this door in, at least on the bottom. But I also know that there may be something here in the door that's holding this outer skin to the frame where the handle is. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this up for you so you can see, and show you guys the handle. So there's a little mat in the bottom here. Can't really see past that mat, but it looks like it comes right out. It does. And there's a screw. So like I said, some of this is just poking around, figuring out how this is done. This is what we had to do before YouTube. I'm sure you could go on YouTube right now and find a quick and easy one to watch of somebody who's done a bunch of these, or just done one, and knows exactly how it comes out. But what fun would that be? So this is now out, but I know that this whole switch assembly, this whole trim piece does come out. Now how? I'm not 100% sure. I know this side comes out like this. This side, I think, has the clip. And it does. So, you can tell here, I've got a clip that kind of goes in, and then this part comes down last. So pop up, pull out, and there you go. So when you take them out, you know, a lot of times I'm always suggesting that you mark things when you take them out so you know exactly where they go back. Put marks on them, whatever, marker, pencil, however you're gonna do it. With these, it shouldn't really matter because, again, they're different shapes, so they're good there. So put this aside. So we're good there. So we know nothing's holding it on here. There's really nowhere else that there could be a screw down in here. And the only other place that I know from experience that it's held on is right in here. And so I'm going to see what happens if I pull the clips off the bottom. And usually it's just a little pop and they come off. Every now and then you'll need to pry. Looks like I might need to here. Not really coming, so I'm not going to force it. I don't want to break it. So I'm going to see what I can do to get this piece off. You know what's neat is that I have another door. So if I really got into trouble, I could go over there and pry the other one off and not have to worry about breaking it because I'm not reusing it. But I don't necessarily have to do that either. Aha! That's why I couldn't find it. Another cover. So there is a screw, like I thought, right back here. Like I said, guys, usually if there is if it's not wanting to come out, there's usually a reason for it. All right, so I kind of forced that a little bit. Oh, it's not bad. Yep, not bad at all. So I had one clip, here's the clip right here. I had one clip pop out, but miraculously nothing broke. And usually the inside of these door panels are notorious for cracking, and I'll show you the inside of it in just a second here. But here's the inside of the door. Try not to let it hang. Sometimes you could have things hanging by the wire, hanging by the cables that run the door and the door locks, door handle and door lock. Right now we're good, but I am gonna have to disconnect these cables, and looks like I may also want to take out this speaker and replace it, put it in the door I'm getting, because I don't know the condition of it. All right, so on the inside of this door here, the lock cable has the red insulation here. Oh, sorry, green insulation on it. And the door handle cable has got the gray. I'm just going to, and I can take this out by hand. If you pull that out of the slot that it's in, then you can turn that cable enough to pop it out of its place. And it's got a little bit of grease in it, but that comes right out. The new door should be set up just the same way. And so this I will be keeping, and I will be using in my in the new door that I got from the junkyard. All right, so these are 10mm bolts. They also have a Phillips head on the outside of them. We'll go ahead and take those out. There's also some Phillips heads here for just the speaker. Now I'm taking out, looks like it's 2-piece, but I'm taking out the whole assembly if it's gonna allow me to. And then there's a clip right here. It's just got a little tab on it that you squeeze, and we should. It's in there really nice because it's insulated. You can actually hear it like unsuctioned from the car. There we go. when I save these screws, I'm putting them in a separate little pile, so that I know what they go to. So even if I forget what they go to, the fact that I have them in their own pile, there's 4 of them, there's 4 holes, you know, I can usually figure it out. I don't need to label it necessarily, but just keeping my hardware separate, I can tell the difference in where it goes when I put it back together. All right, at this time I'm going to go ahead and take off the mirror because I know my new door didn't come with one. It's got a very, very delicate clip right here that I will probably need a pick or like a sharp, you know, flathead screwdriver just to push that in there, get that tab, and pull it out. There we go. And again, this kind of stuff, you don't want to force anything. Take the extra time you need so that you don't end up with a huge headache later on. There's 3 10mm nuts here. I'm just loosening those up, and then I'll take them out by hand. And that is the only thing holding the mirror on. All right, I pulled it out with the rubber seal. All right, so I know this one's good, it's in good shape. I'll put it on the new door. The other idea you got here, guys, is if you got a lot of hardware, if you're taking a bunch of things apart, you know, just something that some guys do. You put the nuts back on the part, okay, so you don't lose them, and that way you have the part that you're putting back in with the hardware right on it already. You know, just something else that guys do. All right, I got smart this time around. I went and grabbed the drill. This is how I usually do it, with a smaller drill. Not necessarily a household drill, but it works. So here's the old door. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the new door from the junkyard. And my interior is a darker gray. Mine's like a charcoal, this is like a true gray. Obviously I'm not going to use it. So this actually is garbage unless I need a spare part. But what's cool is now I know, and I kind of did this backwards, right? If I had to do this again, you learn something new every time you do it, to try to make yourself faster, to try to be more efficient, make less mistakes, etc. So one of the things that I do now is that I would take this door apart first, because I know that if I break something on it, it isn't going to matter, because I wasn't going to use the inside of this door anyway. So I would have done that, but I was pretty confident that I wasn't going to break anything. Still came off a little bit more difficult. I had to put a little bit more effort into it than I wanted to. Usually when I have to pull or pry that hard, there's something else in there, or one of the clips is just stuck and ends up breaking when it comes apart. But this one I didn't have to, so took the screw out of the door handle, screw out of the top, 2 screws in the bottom, and the last one I've got is going to be the one that's underneath here, right inside there. Pry that little mat out. There's another screw right in there. Hopefully this door seal around the door is in good shape. Should be. I don't see any rips or tears. So hopefully I won't have to mess with that too much. And remember, now I know how this one came out, right? So there we go. Look at that. Literally all I needed to do, put my screwdriver right in here where that clip is, and it comes right out. So now that I know how to do it, they're super easy. Now this is handy to hold on to because I've got possibly a working door lock switch and window switch. So definitely gonna hold on to that. And anything else I think that I might need. So I'm gonna go ahead and pry the rest of this off. I got some change coming out of the bottom. I'm richer now. So one thing I missed in the other one, I'm realizing now. So right here, we've got a metal bracket that appears to be connected to the door frame. And it didn't look like at first that it was connected to the outside door panel, but it kind of is. So that's why that other one was more difficult to come out. So I would be willing to bet if we took out that screw, this door panel would come out very easily. Look at that, nice and easy. Comes right off. Just popped right out. Super easy peasy. All right, got my door skin off. Nothing else I need in there, although I do have some extra clips. So those would be handy. These clips here, those can be reused for sure. I've got the actual door lock and door handle, which aren't broke. Those could technically be sold, I suppose, if somebody had a, I don't know how common those are to break, but could be something. These are definitely cheaper speakers. I have the JBLs in mine that were like they were kind of like a stock upgrade, and so not too bad. I'm gonna compare these two doors. I'm gonna unscrew this, that screw that we missed on the other one. I'll unscrew that. I'll take the speaker off and connect it. Put the good one, the JBL, up on this door, and we'll be jamming. And the way this goes in, guys, it just the way it's shaped kind of goes in oblong and then turns to meet up with those. So definitely not as good a speaker. You could tell by the weight of the magnet and everything. Definitely a cheap speaker in there. One of the other things I noticed here is this piece here looks broken. It's like the bumper comes out like that when the door's open. Not sure how the other one's supposed to be, so I'll have to check it out. This one's kind of just floating there. I'm not sure if that's what it's supposed to do, but I want to double check that. My plastic's a little beat. You know, it's not really sticking anymore. I might be able to re-stick that just by, you know, pressing some weight on it so that I don't get a bunch of airflow coming through the door from the outside of the car. But anyway, looks like we're pretty good. So, all right, so what I'm doing now is I've got the door panel apart. This is the new one that's going on the car. I'm going to try to swap out the key and handle assembly. And there's a Torx bit, star bit screw right here. It's a T30 that's in the inside. That's the only thing I can see at this point, so I'm going to take that out and then see what else there is in there that I can see. But that's about all I can see from this angle. So here goes nothing. Again, all this being done, no YouTube, no instructions, just figuring it out. right, that is out. And almost got to figure out how this handle works now. So don't want to damage the door. You can definitely tell it's a little looser, but not a ton. And I think I found the other screw. So if we come over here, this is where you just keep looking, guys. You keep finding solutions. Overcome, adapt and overcome, right? So right in that hole right there, there's another Torx bit hole. There's another Torx bit screw that this plug was covering. And what's neat is that Toyota decided to make little clips on these screws that actually hold the screws in, so they don't pop out. Look at that. That is awesome. So I didn't even have to. I could actually thank the engineers for something. What? So here it is right here. Comes right out. So what's cool is that it's independent of the door handle. So I don't even have to take that Torx screw we saw on the inside of the door. I can put it right back in. I don't even have to do anything with that. So now I'm gonna go to my existing door that's on the car, take this piece out, swap it out, and now my new door that's going in will fit my key. All right, guys, so took the plug out, undid the screw, pulled it right out. Okay, so this is now going to go in this door, and I now have a spare lock cylinder that I really don't need to go on any of this doors. So I'm actually just going to leave that right there with no lock in it, because I don't need it. And I will use this one. I'll make sure I don't get them mixed up. I'll put it on right away and we'll be good. So what we've got, and if you guys recall, I said that we had forgotten about this bracket. When we took the first panel off the door, we forgot about this bracket, and it did come off pretty easily. I mean, it struggled a little bit, but it came off pretty quickly. And I found out that it broke off. So the plastic here was just, it was kind of like just melted and adhered. This bracket was melted and adhered to the back of the plate here. So what it ended up happening was just popped off. So this part is just sitting here. So I've got to get this back on, because this does give strength to the door, to the inside door handle. So I don't want this whole door trim coming off when, you know, somebody pulls the door hard, really hard or something. So what I'm going to do is I've got some plastic weld, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glob it up here, put some nice plastic weld on there, let it set. Do the same thing for this spot and for this spot. And so I'm just going to show you that real quick. So first thing, when you get some of this plastic weld, it could be JB weld, it could be any other type of this type of product, this adhesive product. So usually it's two-part, right? So you mix these together. They're in a two-part thing here. You put the cap back on so you can use it later if you need it again. And you mix the cream with the hardener. Just like Bondo or any other type of body work. Basically something you need to be a little bit thicker or harder than, they'll last longer than like a super glue. You know, this one being a plastic weld, it stinks real good. And it does have some high strength to it, so should be able to take what we're talking about. So mix it up real good until you have one uniform color, and then basically you shape what you need here. So I'm gonna try to put it on fairly thick because I want it to harden right up on there and not come off.
And we'll do the same thing down on the door here. Certainly doesn't help if one of them...
Alright, so I got it on pretty good here, guys. What I will say is that when you're doing this, one of the most important things, and I'm going to sit here for a while because there wasn't really a good way for me to adhere this and get it like clamped in place. So one of the things that you want to do is make sure before you start using these products, they're only meant, I mean, they're meant for one use, right? So they're meant to go on, and then that's it. You can't really take it back off again without breaking it. So you want to make sure that it's in a position where you can just leave it, whether that's putting weight on it to make sure it stays in place, or clamping it down using a C-clamp, something else that keeps these things together. You can see I did use a set of channel locks, vice grips, I'm sorry, on here to keep the pieces together that I'm trying to plastic weld together. So because I don't have that ability in the position that this is in on top of the car here and the door trim, I'm just gonna have to just keep some pressure on it for quite a while. It does set in about 5 minutes, so I just have to kind of keep pressure on it till it starts to set. All right, so now comes the part where we are going to remove the actual door frame itself, outer door. So got a couple different places here that we're connected. So pretty easy right here. All right, on the cushion, on like the door cushion rod here, 1 bolt. Got a couple bolts here on that hinge, a couple bolts here on the bottom hinge, and of course the wiring harness. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. This is just a boot that pops in here. Okay, there's a boot on the body side too. That's the one, because if we look at the other door, you can get an idea of how this goes on. Okay, so here we've got the door that I'm putting in and the harness for it. All right, so everything's right here. And so I know I'm looking for 2 connectors. There's the boot that goes into the body. This one I don't have to mess with, so that's how I'll disconnect it under the dash. So as we go over here, I'll follow that boot right into the body. And so I'll have to get up under here. Now there is a cover, and I can see that it just clips right in. It's actually little clips, little thumb clips right here. And it's got 3 thumb clips on it. And then it just pulls right out. We do have a side panel here too that will allow us to access this. So we took the top one off, get it out of our way. This one just unscrews here, kind of like a little body nut, and then this should have clips that pull out. Now it is underneath this skirt. If you look, you can see that it's actually underneath this other skirt here. So these usually just pull right up. So I'm just sticking a screwdriver in there and popping it up. You can actually take off the whole piece if you can. You don't have to, but you can, and then voila, it comes right out. So now I can kind of see where this goes in. So if I'm reaching in, I'm finding where this goes in the body, okay, and I'm reaching my hand right in there and feeling for it, and I can trace those down with my fingers and find out exactly where they go. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect these. Here we go. It was on the bottom side. So the clip for this one is on the bottom side. All right, so now once I pry this boot off the body, should just be able to pop that seal. Again, this is the door that I am not going to be reusing that has the dent in it. And you can obviously tell that that's a part of it. It's moving along with it, so that's done. Can't really pull it out anymore. I don't have enough room until I get the door off, but my next step is to support the door, have someone support the door while I disconnect I'm just gonna loosen up these hinges first, take this off, and then fully disconnect the hinges while somebody's holding the door for me. All right, so I've got a 10 millimeter with an extension for this one right here. And you can already see that this one is a lot stiffer in a good way than the door that I'm going to put on. So I'm actually going to replace this part and make sure that this one goes on the door that I'm going to be putting on the car as well, because it feels nice and tight. The other one feels just really sloppy. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll get the door hinges loosened up and supported. Okay, so we got the, I threaded in the harness here, okay? I grabbed some assistance in lifting up the door to where the hinges line up with the holes in the door, okay? So that was a bit difficult to get these threaded in with an extra hand, trying to load these up and thread them in correctly. So I've got 3 in, that's all I need. Obviously I could have got 2 in and that would have been fine. It would have held it in place until I could kind of wiggle the door and get the other ones in. Like I said, I threaded this in. I'm gonna seal that off, plug that all the way so there's no air getting into the vehicle. Plug in my connector for the speakers, door locks, windows, and go ahead and tighten this up. So I was able to get like 2 4x4s and a 2x4, you know, all lined up so that we're not using too much effort. All kinds of stuff goes into goes into just making it easier on yourself, you know, because you could do this for years and years and just beat up on yourself. You know, just continue to work those skills, find ways to make your life easier, work smarter, not harder, that sort of thing. Adapt and overcome, and you'll be all set. I also put Loctite. This is orange Loctite because that's what I had on hand. Orange thread lock. It's in between a red and a blue, and I did put some Loctite on those bolts because they did have them from the factory. Yeah, I definitely don't want those coming loose. And other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it up and I'll show you the rest. All right guys, everything's tight. The door hinge, the stop, I put the new speaker in that I wanted in here, that I knew was a better one than the junkyard one that I got. I replaced this door stop with one that wasn't all floppy and loose. I replaced the door lock and handle. All right, and the new junkyard doors on the car. So now to make sure that my body lines line up, I'm gonna need to give it this is the first time. See if it lines up. I gotta give it a test run here. Oh man, like butter. first time like butter. Body lines look good for a beat up door and a beat up car. Cool thing about this is there's no adjustment. This is the old gasket off the old mirror. But the cool thing is there's no adjustment on these door hinges. So really, if it doesn't line up, something's bent. So a lot of times you can use older cars. Sometimes they have like plates, spacers, and so forth that you can use to kind of play around with this. I mean, body shops probably still do it now. I'm not a body guy. I'm not going to pretend I am. But I do know how to replace the door. So I'm going to put this back together. You can see this plastic kind of hanging down. I'm just going to re-adhere this. Okay, all this plastic does is keep air out of your instrument panel and moisture, but it keeps air out of your instrument panel and it keeps air from coming through like your door while you're driving, your instrument panel, other places in the door where air could kind of seep in. Also works as some sound insulation, because if you have all that air coming in, you're obviously going to get some sound as well in the cabin. Not going to be able to hear the radio as well, talk on the phone as well, which I hope you're doing with with hands-free. But now I got to check on my door trim that we soldered with that plastic weld, and make sure that that's ready to go on. I'm going to use my old switch for the windows and locks, and we should be good to go. The only thing I'll have to test out afterward is my locks, my windows, my speakers. I don't want to use junkyard parts if I don't have to. I love using body parts from junkyards because there's not a whole lot you have to do with those. Not a lot that can go wrong. I mean, it's not a functional part. So the one thing I did leave on here is the motor for the window, and I'm hoping that's going to be okay. If it's not, well, hey, then I'm taking apart the door again, at least the inside of the door again, and having to replace a window motor. But right now I'm gonna just hope that was all right in this door, and go from there and save the part. That's the one benefit that you get from getting junkyard parts is sometimes you get some spare parts. So when other things go bad, now I've got a couple good hinges that I know that are good. This is gonna make it to the point where I don't have enormous dent on the side of my car anymore. So it does look a little better. It's got some surface scratches, but hey, it doesn't look like garbage. You know what I mean? Doesn't look ghetto. So I'm gonna take these lines out. I'll buff the door tomorrow. Take off the blue. Put on the side mirror, and I'll show you all that. Some of that anyway coming up. Okay, so I tested the speaker. Speaker works. Before I put the door panel back on, since it's drying right now anyway, figured I'd check the locks. They work. And yes, moment of truth. Window works. All right, so we're good. That's the test. We're ready to put the door frame back on. All right, so we're nice and hard here. It's pretty much solidified, all the plastic weld points that we did. So this is nice and tight. I'm pretty confident it's in the right position where it's gonna screw in to the door panel itself. I should be all set to go here. So we've got the door panel. Here's one of my screws. Bring it over to the car. Pretty excited not to have a big old dent in my car. Been riding around like that for like 3 years. And it was all you guys that did it. You guys were the only reason that I decided to fix this door. Because I was thinking of things that we could cover in class. And it's the only reason I actually spent the money to do it. Okay guys, so when you do this, you're gonna want to put everything, connect everything together and have all your wiring where you need it before you clip it all in, okay? So as I put this in, I'm pulling my wires from my locks and window switch right out of there. I'm also going to attach the door locks and the door lock and door latch together, okay? So I'm putting those cables in before I complete and put this together. The other thing you don't want to do, since I have the mirror off right now, I've got this little connector that's kind of flapping around here. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it out the door, stick it out the hole in the door so that I don't pinch that, and then I gotta go take the door apart later and find it. Those are in. Got my wires. All right, so when you put this door frame on, the top part has a lip. It goes in like this. So when you put it in, you put the top part in first, and then the bottom part swings in. So put the top part next to the window. Okay, just guide that window seal, the little seal that goes along the top, just guide that down the window, and it should hang right there, okay? And then you go and you pop your little clips in, and now the door's hanging fine, okay? So the rest of it is going to be the other screws that you took off, okay? So there's one big one right here in the door. That's the big screw. That's going to give your door handle, or your the door pull, not the handle, but where you pull the door shut, that'll give that some stability. We've got this little one up here, okay? We don't want to forget about that. And we've got our cover. Just pops right in there, covers up that bolt. Got the one screw, one screw, one screw. We've got two on the bottom and one on the side. You guys are probably bored with this by now, but this is like my favorite part. I'm sure you guys already have that feeling of being able to get something completed, feeling good about it. And don't forget the all-important little rubber flap. Sits there in the bottom and looks pretty. Okay, so this one here has the gasket on it, so I'm good there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this harness through as much as it'll come. Find where the clip goes, line that up, connect it, then put it back through to bolt it on. Okay, so once you've got it lined up the way you want, go ahead and put a couple of the bolts in, a couple of the nuts in it, finger tight, so it doesn't go anywhere, bang your paint or anything like that. Not very much torque needed on these, or really anything that's 10 millimeter. Double check them. Put my little trim on. Should probably do this after I check the mirrors, but I'm pretty sure they work. All right, so door is done. It's got the same trim as my old one. New window, same as my old ones though. Now I've got an extra window in case I get broken into or side window gets smashed for some reason. Don't get any ideas. So, looking a lot better. It's a much better look than the big old dented door that I had before. I'll come over here and double check my mirror. Beautiful. Works like a charm. All right, guys. So I hope you liked it. A little something new. I gave it a shot for you. Wanted to see if I could give you guys something new. Something new myself, too. I haven't done a door in a while. It's been quite a little while since I had a door part. 6 months, maybe. But it's been a while since I replaced the whole door. So anyway, questions, hit me up. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.